As they said, I'm Jozef. I'm from Kili.com. Currently, I work there as the CTO. Long story short, who did das, was is das, the whole presentation. We are ex-Skypicker. It's a flight ticket search engine. And I'm going to speak about how we learned everything what we did in the past 5 years the hard way. Some stats about the company. It's a 5-year-old company, but the development team there, the software engineering team, grew from 1 to 100 people in the last 2 years. And so grew the revenues from 0 to 1 million euros per day, which is the current state. It was done in the last 3 years. So it was kind of rocket, and we screwed up a lot of times, went bankrupt like 5 times, but now we are fine. What is this not? This presentation is not about any rocket science technology. You won't learn here anything about Rancher or Docker. It's not about any buzzwords. It's not about anything related to software development as the rest of the presentation at this conference. So just be ready for it. It's some kind of story which will tell you what to do, what not to do, and how to do stuff. First of all, if you're going to build your own product, as we did, it's not the same as freelancing. It's totally different. It's harder. There is no client. There are only customers. And you can't listen to your customers. Because if you have 1 million customers, each of them will tell you something else. Don't listen to them. Just do your product. And you won't have time probably for anything else, like no free time. Just your product. That's you. And Kili.com. But at the end of the day, it's totally worth the fun. Because if you succeed, it will be a huge party. First of all, if you do something like your own product, nowadays called startup, you need to spot the difference between a CTO, a regular CTO in a tech company, and a startup CTO. A CTO is a guy in a suit. He does coding in Notepad and takes a high salary. A startup CTO is probably just an overworked engineer working like 100 hours per week, doesn't know what a paycheck is, and yeah, once he will probably become something like a real CTO, but not in a few years. It's a long way. What you need to do, or if you're starting something, there are only a few rules you need to follow. You need to decide fast, really fast. You don't have time to think because there are other companies, they want to be better than you. So it should be your advantage that you are able to decide fast. Follow your feeling. Usually if you're a skilled engineer or you have some basic skills, you should be able to tell this technology is good, this technology is bad. Like I have the feeling Hadoop is going to make me cry. I have the feeling MySQL is worse than MariaDB, but I'm going to use Postgres anyway. It just works. If it doesn't work, you will screw up a few times. Count with it, be ready for it. And yeah, if you're choosing technologies, by the way, don't care about public benchmarks. They're usually somehow fake. If you have time, do your own benchmarks, but don't over-benchmark. Just do some basic comparison of the technologies. If you start developing your own product, forget about things like TDD, BDD, all the shiny and working stuff everybody is suggesting you, because it slows you down. It slows you down like 2 or 3 times. The time when you need it, really, it will come, but maybe, you don't know. In short term, it slows you down, and there is nothing like real term if you're building a product which needs to move fast. So forget about it and just copy to FTP, just deliver the new version of your product. How to get to TDD is that after you build some basic team of 5 people, you just try to introduce it and wait if people catch up. If they don't, try it again to introduce it in 1 month. At one time, they'll just catch up and they will realize they really need it. There is a rule, just break the stuff. It will be your daily job to break things because you should be stupid and lazy. And this attitude will help you not over-engineer anything or over-optimize. Just break it, and fixing downtimes will be your morning routine each morning at 6 a.m. pager duty. Hey, how are you? Yeah. People are afraid of technical debt, but actually, it's good for you. It's like a financial debt. You just need it to start your business. So take the technical debt. You can even make it a technical mortgage, but you need to have some plan how to pay it or have to get rid of it. My plan was to let other people pay it. It works. Sorry, guys. But this doesn't mean, technical debt doesn't mean you can skip your homework. Your homework when you ship some software is to do Ansible, automate everything you do 2 or 3 times per day, and not say it's ops. You're only alone or a team of 5 people. You don't have any ops or DevOps or anything. You just need to do it on your own. At the same time, doing this basic stuff on your own will help you understand your operation system, the Unix and stuff, your application on huge load, and it will help you to avoid stupid mistakes like I'm going to destroy the X4 file system by writing 10,000 files in one folder. You wouldn't do it if you would know your operating system. What we did really wrong, we have to admit it, we did some really wrong things, and they kicked our ass, or they are still somehow kicking our ass. We didn't do real documentation for our code. We were just doing the code. Now nobody knows what it does. Don't touch it. Also, comments in your code like magic, do not touch, they are more or less useless. It's worse than no documentation because people have to read it and it's just a waste of their time. But don't over-document, because people are not going to read a huge documentation, of course. You need to find some balance, just some basic, this does this, okay. I don't know what it returns, I don't know what it expects, but it does this. Also, we did a huge mistake by using or storing integers in a database like chars. Why? I don't have any explanation for this, but it added a lot of work to the future guys trying to use the database. They were not able to really do some analytics or anything on top of our shitty data. My only explanation is that it was historical reasons. Sorry, deal with it. Also, if you're already building the product, you keep somehow rolling. After 1 year, you want to build some team or get more engineers on board so you can move faster. This doesn't work that well as it sounds. Throwing 20 engineers on a project doesn't mean it's 20 times faster. First of all, you should hire people that are better than you, far more better than you. I saw managers or founders afraid of the fact that they will replace me, but yeah, that's what you want, that's what you expect. So let them be better than you. Don't slow them down in their development or some getting skills. If they replace you, there's always McDonald's. So you will find a job. That's the basic rule of building a very good team which works. One of the rules we followed that we were looking for people that don't need to be managed. I myself hate to be managed, or I hate if somebody is looking over my shoulder because it shows that just people don't trust me on what I'm doing. Don't do it. Look people who hate management, who hate to be overlooked, or hate to be somehow told what to do. Just let them do what is expected from them. Of course, they will make mistakes. They will make a lot of expensive mistakes. But how do you explain this to your investors or so on? Is that you call it a really expensive education. They're able to understand. There is a really easy algorithm, which we also followed when hiring people. You don't need just skilled people. You need also people with passion who don't know anything, but they have the passion and they want to learn fast, or they want to learn something. So what we did is that we hired people with passion, then we hired people with skills, And we let people with skills to teach the people with passion. So it somehow worked, and we just repeated it and keep building more and more teams. Which also leads to the following fact that you need to keep your team small, really small. Like the best team size is 1 engineer, 2 engineers if they do pair programming, because I'm always able to do some feature faster than 4 people who need to communicate, need to sync with each other, they do merge requests and crazy stuff. No, just commit to master, do it. 4 people is still good, it's very good. Maybe it's the best team size, 8 people is too much. They are not able to work effectively, and the team of 20 people is unable to deliver because they just don't agree. They would not be even able to deliver a pizza. It's just, no. 4 to 8 people is the max. If you can do teams of 1 or 2 people, do it. But usually you're not able to do this. You also need to do interviews with these people because you need to find them, somehow talk to them, and decide if you want to work with them. There was no interview process at our company. We were just like following the feeling somehow. I want to work with you or I don't want to work with you. That was the only rule. And most of the interviews were decided in the first 2 minutes, and the rest was like only bullshit you need to do. But we already knew if we want to work with somebody or not. And we were just looking for the salary and so on. Also, maybe always meant no. If you're not sure if you want to work with somebody, just say no, move on, or find somebody else. Also, when you go to an interview and they usually ask you, what do you do in your free time? There is only like 2 or 3 correct answers. One of them is like, what's free time? Check my GitHub. I do coding, or I like to build stuff. Nobody cares if you like bike or hiking or books. No, you're software engineers. You don't do hiking, or at least don't tell the people in the interview. As the team grows, as I told you, the bigger the team, the bigger the need of communication. But engineers are afraid, or they don't want to communicate with anything that doesn't have some real API, like REST API. And it's a pain. You shouldn't work with people who are not able to explain their decisions, or they are not asking why we did this, why are we doing this way. You should spot this on the interviews in the first minutes, that people are able or unable to communicate. If you hire people only that are able somehow to communicate, it will work. Otherwise, it will break your team. And also, if you have a team, you set the team rules. So use it as an advantage. One of the rules can be, okay, we will work only during nights. We start working at 11 a.m. We are not going to work today because we got destroyed yesterday, whatever. You do the rules. Time, yeah. Probably you want to do some planning, some estimations, and some basic work related to engineering. It doesn't work. There's something called ACAP, or it had to be done yesterday. It's not a good term. Never use it because 2 ACAPs is already too much. Before we go bankrupt, it's more the scripting, and it motivates people. But I hope everybody agrees that this is not a term you want to see in your Trello dashboard or any GitLab issue. Also, software engineering is a creative job. Don't expect people to maybe log their time, whatever, but if you're building a new product, you don't really know what you're doing, or usually. If you know what you're doing, it's a boring job. You should do some research, you should try and fail, then it's fun. If you just estimate, okay, tomorrow I will do this, and you do it, it's fucking boring. It's a creative job. Don't expect to be able to measure your performance because things will always go wrong. It's just a rule. It's just a matter of time when. And also don't expect to do perfect code or to ship the perfect code for the first run or for the second run. Usually, you need to refactor your code like 2 or 3 times until it's good enough. It works. It's not perfect. It won't be perfect. If you did something that was perfect, you probably have too low expectations, or the rest of the world is doing something wrong. Also, when you're building your own product or having your own startup, it's not a 9 to 5 job. If you need to sleep like 8 hours per day, don't do this. If you don't really enjoy building new stuff, doing research, not knowing what is going to happen yesterday, PagerDuty will call you, of course, don't do it. Don't even start with this. Also, as I told you, estimate doesn't work, or don't work usually because you don't know what you're doing. Always use the right tools. If you say PHP, it's not good, or it sucks, or something, you're not eligible to even to be a software engineer, because PHP is good for some use cases. Don't ever say some tool is wrong or it's useless, because there is always some use case. Somebody created that tool for some reason. Even PHP was created for some reason. Also, you should do a lot of research to find new tools, replace your existing ones when you're refactoring your code, but that's something expected and normal. Also, people are usually trying to find the perfect tool for the job, like Jira. But you don't need Jira if you're doing your own product, because nobody is going to ask you for a timesheet or some reports that can be done really easily there. It's good enough if you are able to do like 80% of the stuff you expect the tool, and the Google Sheets or Trello usually just works well for this use case. So always start with Google Docs, start with Trello, start with some really stupid tool, and then iterate, improve. But don't look for the perfect tool. We never found any perfect tool for basically anything, except New Relic. It's good. Also, consider storage as something cheap. Log everything you can log, because it's cheap to log. Use struct-log maybe, and the stack of Kibana and Elasticsearch. Just store everything and then query it. Maybe you won't ever need it, but you will have the data if you will find out you need to find out what happened. Also, we are using maybe just use Grafana or Datadog for displaying or charting the data. Sender everything, build dashboards, but refactor the dashboards over time, because nobody is going to look at them after 1 week, and they might become useless if you don't care about them. So, yeah, and just have the data ready somewhere stored. So what we found out, it's everybody knows Slack or HipChat or anything. Until you can fit your whole team during the working hours in one room, avoid Slack. Just turn it off. It's not synchronized. It's not async. Just people in one room shouting at each other. It's very time-consuming to use Slack in small teams. If your company grows bigger, of course you need something like this, but try to avoid it as long as possible. To make everything work, you need to admit, first of all, you're not the best engineer in the world, and you can't be afraid to let people what you want it to do. And you should expect them to make it work. They will fail, they will screw it up many times, but you just need to help them to fix it. And keep in mind, you would do the same mistakes as they did. So just don't think you are the best in the world, and don't be afraid to delegate some of your tasks to others. Also, when you are building shitty code, deploying like randomly, or not really in a good way, you need to stop the time to stop and to say, okay, we should fix this. The time is usually when you reach your break-even point, which means the company is profitable, or it's a few years after. It depends on the team and on what you focus. But you shouldn't do this forever, like keep shipping somehow randomly. Just find the time to stop, refactor your code. Never rewrite it from scratch, because this will like freeze you for months. Just refactor it over time. And then after it works, just get alive and keep watching Hacker News to keep you up to date. Any questions?
Oh, thank you. That was nice. Interesting thing that when you saw that the good number of people in a team is 4 to 8. I'm in a company of 7 people, and we use Slack, and I experienced these problems that you were talking about. It's complicated. Can you maybe give us an example of some one bad decision or something bad that happened, something that we can avoid?
Of course. My colleague was giving a presentation at Fuck Up Nights. Maybe some of you saw it. A very good thing we found out, monitor your cron jobs, because if the cron job for updating the currency will fail silently, you will keep running on old currencies and selling the tickets for cheaper price. This is not something you want to find out after 2 months. The rubble is like going crazy.
Any other questions?
You mentioned that Slack is not so good if people are in one room, if I understood correctly. And then when people communicate like using their voice, and 2 persons want to speak with each other, then they may disturb the other ones.
Yeah, we had a rule, just go outside the room. If you're in one room, if you want to talk, just let's go out.
Okay, thank you.
It depends if it's software engineers only in the room if they have headphones. But that was one of the basic rules.
They can't talk, sometimes.
They can shout.
Anyone? There's one more question on Slido. We don't have it working right now, but how many working hours per week do you recommend in a startup?
0. No, it depends on the state of the project. Of course, in the beginning, you need to do like 80, but you should get to something normal between 30 and 40, of course. And the best case is 0, but that could be boring.
Thanks.